I am going to be going to the game soon. Soon, soon, soon. But I have to tweet out the. Oh boy. This is the only part of this that I don't exactly love. Is that there does not appear to be a. At least, again, maybe OBS has this as possible. But there's no mechanism within the Twitch Studio thing to tweet out, because that's my primary communication method. I know that people who are following get a notice, so I understand that, which is great, don't get me wrong. But there's no mechanism I'm aware of that lets you just from the Twitch Studio thing or whatever, bleed it out to everybody. So I'm sending this actually to Lando, who will probably be highly amused by this. Okay, and now I will post it. You know what? I'll just do it from my phone. As much as I hate using my phone for everything, I have to admit that it is easier to do some things because I only have to copy in one place. And, jeez. This is utterly boring listening. Okay, that's it. I'm not putting this in 3 million places. It's whatever. People will find it or they won't. As you can see, truly committed to the bit. Anyway, this is going to be probably an unusual stream in that I'm going to have to pause it to feed my dog because she's very particular about when she eats. And so I will be breaking probably in about 20-25 minutes to feed her, and then I'll come back. But generally I don't do that. However, the timing of this is a little unusual because normally I'm doing it on Tuesdays and it's generally around 6:15, 6:30. This is a bit unusual. Why did the CPU just spike? Oh, went back. Oh, you know why? Because I think it's backing something up. So yeah. So it's going to be a little different in that way, but that's okay because I have a Be Right Back banner. Therefore, I am prepared for such an eventuality. And that will not be a big deal. But, I figured I'd do a little free time. So I figured, you know what? Why not? I'll pop onto the old Streameroo. I cannot believe that there are 6 people that are following this. It's insane to me. Nobody is here yet. I'm going to give it another. I just messaged it out. So I'll give it another minute or two. And actually, since I had the opportunity, I'm going to go grab my water. So I'll leave this up here and I'll be back in a second. And I hath returned. Fortunately, nobody joined in the 10 seconds I was away, so nobody noticed the dead silence. It'll be on the video, of course, but that's okay, because it doesn't bother me. Little sip of the old water. Oh, would help to actually make sure everything is running in the background before I hit the little getting ready to stream thing, which I actually have figured out, I believe, how to make it actually count down properly. As it turns out, there's a little toggle that I had not noticed that says every time you make it visible, reset your counter. Because for those who may have attended the last stream, I put up the little animation, but it's supposed to have a timer that coincides so you have an idea of, how long you're going to be looking at it. And I failed to activate it because I didn't look for the little toggle. So, yeah. This time, that shouldn't happen. I'm going to give it another. I'll start this 5 minutes in. That's kind of I like round. Well, not really round numbers. I don't think 5. 5 is not a round number, right? Because it's an odd number. Round numbers. Okay. Quick question. The next 30 seconds. When somebody says a nice round, well, no, because 100 is considered a round number, even though that is. No, that's 100 is a even number. Are round numbers generally understood to be even numbers? Or are they even or odd numbers? I could look this up, I'm sure, but I'm not going to because why bother? It's more fun to just pose the question like an idiot, and that's what I'm doing. All right, so here we go. I'm going to hit my little starting soon thing. Oh, there's the counter. That's great. Ah, sweet. Okay. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. So we will go ahead and get the game set up in the background. This is great, man. It's stupid little things that are delightful to me. The fact that I can actually get something like this to run and it's not a train wreck is delightful. As basic and threadbare as this is, it is never not entertaining to me that I can actually make something like this happen. Because, I don't do this stuff. There are people who do this very, very well. Oh, am I going to sneeze? I'm going to try not to sneeze. I got that feeling like I'm going to sneeze. No, I think it's going away. Anyway, there are people who can do this really well because they have backgrounds in it and everything else. And that's always, I always marvel at it because it just isn't me. Okay. So now you should be seeing that. And I've moved the banner up a bit because I realized there was a bunch of real estate on the top that I was using up for no good reason. So, all right, let us go ahead and start our game here. All right, so you're seeing it, and here we go. And I moved the game. I realized I was obscuring the chat window just enough that it can make certain things hard to read. But I believe I have fixed that issue as well. I can now visibly see it. Not that there's anybody here to test it, but I think I could now see it properly, so if anybody joins... I do like the fact that there's this little overlay that they put on whatever you're doing, because I wouldn't want to see everything. The Twitch Studio thing, I don't need to see everything that it shows, but it is good to have the little metrics, and it does kind of give little alerts, which I like, and that's nice. Strangely, I don't know if there's a way, because I can't figure it out, but I don't think there's a way to rearrange the alignment of the actual panels inside of Twitch Studio. There doesn't seem to be one. And ideally I'd like, because in the video, what you're seeing as the viewer is you're going to see the chats, they pop up on the left side. There's that little, they kind of come up with a little transparent background and it says whatever it says. But on my screen, they're on the right, which is, it's not bad. It's not terrible or anything like that. It's just sort of odd that the alignment isn't by default sort of a reflection of what the stream would be. Because in other ways it is. And then that particular one is actually just on the opposite side. And I don't know if that's... now that I think about it, I could make it the same by moving. Because inside the Twitch Studio window, you have complete control of where the different panel elements go. Meaning I could move the chat to the right if I wanted to, but it's just sort of strange that the default alignment doesn't somewhat reflect the... it's not a big deal. It's just one of those things where it's kind of like, oh, all right, that's a decision somebody made. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe what happens is when the app initially opened and I had the ability to move things, maybe what it was doing was... No, because that's not right, because one of the other elements started on the right, I'm pretty sure. Although that element may have started on the right because the other one started on the left. What I'm wondering is if it just works in a default left-to-right alignment. I don't really know. That'd be an interesting thing. I don't really care. I don't care enough to find out, but it's just one of those little quirks that I like to blab about for a couple minutes because, why not? But yeah, I moved the little thing on the top with the social links, because you got to have the socials, which, if I remember correctly, I can't see it right now because it's behind the game window, but I think the way it's laid out is the left one is the Twitter link. I have the little icons. The left one's the Twitter link. The center one is the show address, which I would assume most people who are coming to, but people stumble on things. I have to remember the random discovery thing. Can't assume that everybody's coming here from the show. But that show link is there, and then I put the Behance site on the far right, if anybody wants to look at my artwork or anything like that. Speaking of which, I've had more than a few people say, oh, you should do an art stream. You should draw. You should do an art stream. Which I'm not against. There's two primary things that I would have to figure out. So, first off is, the way that I draw a lot of times, I don't know if it's very conducive to streaming. Because a lot of the stuff, depending on what I'm working on, is very stop-start. So I could work on something for 5 minutes, or I could work on it for 45 minutes. And there is no decision-making process to that. It's not like it's something where I sit down and know I'm going to, most times I don't sit down or whatever and say, okay, I'm going to draw for 45 minutes now. Most times it's kind of a random thing. I have a few minutes, so I'm going to do all this, or whatever. And that's generally how it goes. Hold on, I'm pausing for a minute because I just heard my phone go off. And that's, so, I almost miss your odd banter about design. OCD band. Oh, is this Lando? Is Lando the person viewing this? He probably is, because he just texted me. I'd sent him a link because I thought he would find this. Right into Jaws. Are you kidding? I just got the tracker. Man, I'm telling you. Sometimes this game. I mean, really, you should not be hitting Jaws at... I guess. I'm sure there are people who want to run into Jaws at Power 1, so I guess I should shut up. But, yeah, so people have said, oh, why don't you do a stream where you draw something? Again, not an idea I'm against, but my drawing style is a little strange. It's not consistent or... What's the word for it? It's not necessarily... Okay, let's go to the top here. Not necessarily something where I'm drawing for a long amount of time all the time. The other thing I have to figure out is what the setup would be, because I draw on an iPad. That part I'm less concerned about overcoming, because I could just use AirPlay, I'm pretty sure, to spit the iPad screen onto the computer screen. The issue with that, of course, is that to do that the best way, the most fluid way, is to mean I'm using the Mac for the Twitch Studio, which has strangely some kind of CPU thing where it hits the roof. Now, maybe that CPU utilization of this would be kind of an interesting thing to test anyway. Maybe that CPU utilization is tied to how I'm playing the game on it and not necessarily Twitch Studio. But if it happened again with the... Oh, jeez, Jaws, get off me, man. Let me power up a little. God, this guy. Oh, God. Wonderful. So depending on... So that might make an interesting test. Is, if I AirPlay the iPad and use Twitch Studio, and the utilization stays pretty low... I mean, don't get me wrong. There are less elements, kind of. But at the same time, it would be relatively comparable. Maybe not. I mean, I say that, but that may not really be true. I don't know if everything is... Because obviously the iPad... and the Mac should be somewhat optimized to talk to each other. So I would expect the utilization to be less than 50%, certainly, or whatever it hits with the... Yeah, I think it hits like 47% when I try to do this with a game. I would expect it to be less than that, but I don't know if it's going to be drastically less. Now, don't get me wrong. The iPad is not going to be... You would think that the iPad would not be as much of a punch on the thing as anything else, because again, it is a iOS to iOS or Apple ecosystem type of thing, so it probably wouldn't be as bad. But I don't know, it actually would make an interesting experiment. But then I have to figure out how I'm gonna do the drawing stuff, because like I said, when I'm working on certain things, it's not like I don't work in a consistent way where I can just know that I'm going to work on a section for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes, whatever. It just doesn't work that way for me, because depending on what I'm doing in a certain area, sometimes I get really kind of annoyed that I can't get the look I want. And then what I'll do is I'll basically shoot off into another area or another drawing entirely. There have been times where I've realized that I'm starting to get impatient with it, and rather than just kind of... Drawing angry is not a fun thing for me. I mean, I don't know if it is for anybody, honestly. I'd be curious if there are people who are like, oh, I'm angry, I'm going to draw now. I mean, I'm sure there's art therapy type stuff where people are expressing their displeasure through their drawings, but that's not really my kind of thing. So, let me bring the shark up because I want to get this up here. So if I get annoyed at a drawing, what I typically then do is jump to a different drawing, and then I might jump back and forth. So I don't know. It might be a really strange kind of cognitive dissonance for people to just see all this rapid fire back. I mean, I can see people actually getting sick watching it that way, because I rotate things really strangely and rapidly sometimes. Artists, I've seen art streams where people draw in this very kind of business-like is the wrong word for it, but they have this organized way of doing their artwork, which is great. It's kind of like the Stephen King idea, right? You do a certain amount of stuff, do a certain amount of work. Great. There are people who can work like that. I'm not one of those people. I have at times gone to draw something and had every intention, and I'm ready. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do it. Great, whatever. And then I sit down and I look at it, and I have nothing for it. There's just no. I mean, I guess it's the equivalent of writer's block. Not even writer's block. Writer's block is the wrong word for it, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. Maybe I've never had writer's block. I don't, because I'm not a writer. So maybe it is the same thing. But it's not that I didn't have the intention to do something, and not because writer's block was all. Well, I guess it is, because writer's block is kind of you want to write, you can't get the words to come out, I guess. So I suppose it's a variation on that, where it's not so much that I can't visualize it. It's that for whatever reason I can't work out the mechanics in that second to actualize what's in my head, I guess. So I guess it is. I guess it's artist block. Same difference. Sketcher's block. So what I thought was maybe I could do something along the lines of like when people do those squiggle doodles. Oh, wow, I didn't realize 12 would get me to 5. Well, this is going to be a short run, which is okay because I got to feed my dog inside of 10 minutes anyway. So this is going to be a relatively... I want the sub, though. Is the sub around? Oh, no. Oh, well, here he comes. Now he's going to show up. Ugh, this is the worst way to have to knock Jaws' health down is with this damn spear gun. So I might do the squiggle thing, where I'll basically tell people, okay, email, draw a squiggle and take a pic. I mean, it doesn't have to be a high-res photo of a squiggle. But send me an image of a squiggle, and I will make it into something. And do that, because that's something that I could do kind of mindlessly. You just create... Because you're not really worried about layout. You're not really worried... Because when I'm doing certain things, I get really into positive and negative space, and making sure that things are properly aligned, and symmetry, and all the rest of it. Whereas if somebody just sends me a squiggle... I'm not going to be so concerned about whether it's laid out evenly or not, and whether the space is maximized, and whether I've got a proper, if I've got too much black and white. It'll be far more loose and bonusing. Great. Probably could have killed Jaws. So I might do something like that. Once I got to do some testing again and see how it would actually work and make sure that the machine can handle it. And I don't think there would be any lag on the... I really wouldn't be concerned about lag. Not so much, because I don't think any lag would probably be on the stream side, and I would imagine I would cap that maybe at 30 frames or something. I don't know, because the iPad has that variable refresh screen, right? It goes up to 90, whatever it goes to. I don't know what it goes to, the newest one. It goes up to something. It goes up to something. There's a brilliant technical analysis. But whatever it goes up to, I don't think the stream would be able to keep up with it anyway, and I don't know that there's much of a value in that. I mean, I don't know if the motion, the actual fluidity of drawing matters as much. Does it? I guess that's a question to pose. I don't really know the answer. Oh, I really wanted the sub, man. I don't know where it is. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. Oh, jeez. So, I don't have enough shells. What am I going into port for? I don't have enough shells. There's no way it's going to power up on 7. Oh, no, actually, wait a minute. No, I had to have gotten some. I was going to say, because if I had 12 and I powered up, then 7 might be... No, I didn't. I had less. Or it used up more than I thought. So I've gotten some in the meantime. I just did a bonus scene, too. So it obviously used up more than I would... I've never actually paid attention to how many shells are each power. But in any event, yeah, I'd have to try it, because I'm not against it, and I understand why... And I've seen drawing streams that are really neat. I don't know that I would, because some of them have music and stuff. I don't know that I'm going to do any of that, because I guess I could have music playing in the background. You know what? Actually, I actually have an idea. I'm not even going to bring up what it is, but there is somebody that I might, if I can get it to work. I just thought of this. I don't know why this didn't occur to me earlier, but this is actually not a bad idea. Oh, you know what? Yeah, this might work. I'd have to see. There's a couple of mechanics I'd have to work out and some permissions I'd have to get. But I have a feeling that the person I'm thinking of wouldn't care if I used their music. But I just thought of, I know somebody that I could probably ask that would not care about me using their music as background for a drawing stream. Okay. All right. I'm starting to kind of Lego piece this together in my head. So this might be workable. Might be. I mean, I guess I could just... I guess people don't care. I could just doodle anything and people probably would not care. I guess if you're tuning into that, you just want to see how somebody does something. I'm probably overthinking and over-engineering this. I typically do that, so maybe it wouldn't matter. I'd have to think about it. Is the sub around? Okay, well... You know, at this point, I do just want Jaws to show up. It's like, all right, let's just do it. He's got his full power back, which sucks, because I'd have to harpoon him a lot. Actually, yeah, he probably will show up with a little posse of mini sharks, because otherwise it'd be too easy to bomb him from the boat. From the actual vessel. But yeah, that might work. I may play around with that on the weekend and see what exactly that would look like. As far as how that would go. Maybe do a test stream or two just to see what it's like and then try to work it out. But I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I just, until now, I really kind of, I don't know, there was a part of me that thought that was going to be a lot of setup and engineering of stuff. But the more I kind of work it out in my head as I'm playing here, might not really be tough at all. And especially because at this point, I have to admit, I'm continually impressed with this studio thing. And the fact that it works this easily tells me that I probably could do it with very little setup. The only thing I'd be real interested in as far as... And I don't even know if that it would be a hurdle, but it will be interesting to see what the impact is on the CPU. Because I just think it's going to be a lot easier. I know there's software and stuff that lets you mirror the iPad to Windows, but I have a hunch that doing all that stuff is going to make it not as smooth. Whereas if I can do it on the Mac and everything is kind of inherent to the Mac... My hunch is that the stream itself will be more stable and the actual, output will be better. It's just a hunch, just because I know Apple optimizes so many things. I could be wrong. It may be a complete train wreck no matter what. I mean, it probably will be a complete train wreck no matter what. But when people first brought it up, I don't know about that. But now it's becoming more feasible in my head as I kind of workshop it out by talking about... I don't need more shells. What I really need is the sub. I really just want the sub. I mean, I could kill Jaws without the sub at this point. I really can. And now that I have this many shells, I probably can power up again. But even at this level, I'm fairly confident that Jaws is going to bite the dust pretty fast. As long as... The only problem, too, with doing it with the spear gun is the mini sub fires a lot faster. And I don't know that I don't know if the spear gun or the mini sub itself inherently is more powerful, but it might be. But it does have bombs or cannonballs, I guess these things. And so it might actually work. It may just at a base level have more power than Ellen does when she fires her spear gun. But even at this, it's the only thing that might happen is because the spear gun takes a little longer because it shoots slower. I might have to hit Jaws in 2 waves. I may not be able to take his health out that quickly. Where was the last place? Oh, jeez. Okay, come on. Oh, yeah, and of course. Well, that's... At least I can mitigate that a little bit. But yeah, the art stream thing might be... it'd be worth trying. I don't mind at least giving it a shot. I don't know... I mean, I would probably stream it very briefly just to watch the... Again, the CPU utilization on it, just to make sure it worked. But I'm not really worried about the mirroring part, because the Apple... Jeez, man, I don't know how that thing didn't hit me just there. Because that was a stupid risk to take. But, yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. And I might try that out this weekend and see how it looks. Or maybe on Friday in the afternoon, I can kind of mess with it a little bit and see, just depending. See what's going on. But it wouldn't be... It's not as... When I first thought, I thought... Because the other thing, too, is, and I assume this is the same for all artists, is you work in a kind of a specific... Oh, jeez. This is just ridiculous. It is like the game is trying to engineer a death. Like, it wants you to screw up, right? Because I was not hitting... When you need the shells, which is in the beginning... I was not getting nearly as many hits like this. This is ridiculous. How many things I've just hit. So yeah, this is kind of stupid. That it's throwing stuff at me this rapidly now, where I can't move an inch. Really, did I even move an inch? I don't think I did. I may just sit here and wait for Jaws. I don't even think I can go for the mini sub because I think I'm just gonna hit something. So I think if it's determined to have me, die. Then I'll just wait. Let Jaws come to me. I'll do it without the mini sub. I don't need it. As long as I'm not in shallow water, I'm relatively safe. So I'm just going to wait for Jaws. There he is. I knew he'd show up. I mean, I knew he'd show up. Oh, that's scummy. That's some dirt right there, man. That is some scummy Jaws nonsense with this. Doing that with the two sharks on the opposite side. Because the thing is, you know it's going to trigger the boat. So, you know, that's garbage, man. This game does get cheap at times with that. I mean, come on. You're going to throw the two minis at me from the opposite side, so you know I can't hit them. And, of course, I can't go to the top, but they will kill me, I'm pretty sure, at the top level. I don't think the little sharks have the Jaws failure to impact at the top of the screen. I'm pretty sure they don't suffer from that. So rather than take a chance, I'm just going to stay away from them. They should be staggered now. The problem is, okay, I was going to say, if he comes at me from the opposite side, I got a real problem. And don't get the shells. Now, okay, this is my window right here. This is the window to really lay into them for a second because they were both dead. They respawn very quickly, obviously, as you can see. So, okay, yeah, Jaws, dependent. See, this is what I mean about how long it takes. This is the real problem with this. Not so much the sharks, although they are annoying. It's more of, and now they're on opposite sides. That's bad too. But that resolves itself because they will naturally catch up to him just moving around. So, okay, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Got him. All right, now it's over with. Now this guy's finished. He's all mine. Just got to time it right. Just got to see where he's going to dirk over to. There he goes. Oh, no, he's finished. Boom! Oh, really? Amazing. Got him. Yeah, I was going to say. There ain't no way he's getting out from there. Finito, baby. All right, and at this point, I'm going to now pause. And I'm going to go and feed my dog. Because she's giving me the look. Which means feed me now. So I will go ahead and switch over to the Be Right Back screen. And I will be back inside of about 5 minutes. So here we go. I'll be right back, and I shall return. See you in just a few minutes. Rightio. All right, let me get back to where I am here. There we are. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's see how fast I can kill this thing. I always say that, and yet the game always finds a way to make it slower, even though it really shouldn't. It's kind of garbagey. I should have played my little intro again. That's okay. You know what? I'll save that. You know what I will do, though? Because there is no thing that I can't make more work for myself somehow, is now I have to do an animated We'll Be Right Back thing. So I'm going to have to figure out how to animate that. Even though there's absolutely no reason for it, because the amount of times... Nah, I shouldn't say that. I will probably use it because I think I'll be using that Or maybe I'll just make a separate graphic for when the stream is going to start soon that leads into the animated graphic of the stream starting soon. Because why wouldn't I do that? Because that's tremendously dumb and pointless. So, Woo. Ray's almost got me there. No, I'm not going down there. I'm not going to the edge of the screen. This I do remember. Look at this swimming animation. It's so bad. This, would you even know if you didn't see Jaws 4, which at this point, a lot of people watching probably wouldn't. Would you even know that this was supposed to be Ellen Brody? Is there any indication that this who he is? That's who this is, not who he is, who she is? I mean, the long hair doesn't mean anything. The stick figure animation gives nothing away. You could be forgiven for thinking that this was, I don't know, an anemone on a humanoid body with a really long index finger that's shooting. Well, they look like sideways crosses, I guess. They're spears. Yeah, they are. They're little sideways crosses. That's actually even dumber. I never really paid attention to what it was firing, but those are just little sideways crosses. They don't look anything like spears. The way you would make it look like a spear is you would leave the little... You would have one of the pixels... You would drop the top pixel. You would just make it like a terminal number 1, terminal like a computer terminal number 1 turned on its side. That would look more like a spear than this. This looks like I'm firing little sideways crucifixes at them. You know, like I'm casting them out. Which is, you know... There are Nintendo games where there are heavy religious themes, but this is not one of them. In fact, one is... There's a Pac-Man based one that I actually did a video on called Devil World, which is a fascinating game because it was not released in the West. There, you know, Nintendo, when they brought anything over to the United States, they cut a lot of things out of games. In fact, you can very easily find... There's whole websites, I'm pretty sure, that are actually about, like, Lost Levels is one, or Cutting Room Floor. I think Lost Levels might be defunct now. I don't remember if they're still around. But Cutting Room Floor, I think, is still around. And, for example, Super Castlevania 4, one of my favorite games of all time, famously had... And Castlevania itself. I think, actually, the Castlevania games, the old Nintendo ones, not even the Super Nintendo ones, I'm pretty sure many of them had crosses removed. Ghosts and Goblins, I think, had crosses removed because they were afraid they would offend people. Bionic Commando, of course, changed Hitler into... I don't know. I mean, he still looked like Hitler, so I don't even know what the point of that was. But they changed the Cyber Hitler into Cyber Hitler-ish guy, even though they left the head exploding. So that game includes, in its conclusion, one of the more graphic head explosions you'll ever see. You know, almost like a Cronenberg Scanners level head explosion. They left that in, but they had to change the swastikas into like eagles or something like that because they didn't... I mean, I know in Germany it's banned. You can't show that. So I understand censoring it for Germany. Germany doesn't want any display of the Third Reich symbology and, you know, all that stuff. And I completely get that. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to censor it, why would you leave the head explosion in? Which is... And it's not a head explosion, by the way. This is... Oh, there, my dog has the squeaker, so you're going to hear that. Yep, she's got it. So the squeaker is making another appearance tonight. Sorry about that. But in any event, so if you're going to censor a game, why would you leave... Because when they... Yep. So if you're going to censor a game... Because when they did Mortal Kombat, when Mortal Kombat came over to the Super Nintendo, and many people already know... We got it! When it came over, instead of having blood, they made it sand. So when characters were hitting each other or, you know, tearing body parts out or whatever, it would be sand. So you would see, you know, it was the exact same sprites. It's just that they colored them to be kind of muddy. And so the idea was, well, it's not blood. I think they actually called it sand. I'm pretty sure it was that ridiculous where they said, no. It's not blood. No. It's sand. And that way, because Nintendo was big on the family-friendly thing, they wanted everything to be family-friendly. And that's all fine. Like I said, I don't really necessarily have a problem with the censorship. It doesn't affect the gameplay. But why would you leave in the exploding head thing? Because that's... Wow, jeez. How many... That's got to be 5 shells. Wow, yeah. Power 3 is only 5 shells. Interesting. I would have sworn... I thought this game had much more of a steeper cost for these things once you got past level 1, but I guess not. But... Yep. That's not going to get annoying anytime soon. She loves that squeaker. She managed to rip it out of the toy, so, I mean, it's even less muffled than you. Even if I put it back in the toy, she'd rip it out in 2 seconds. Yeah, that is too appealing to her destructive sensibilities. But yeah, so some of the stuff that they didn't allow in the West is like the Devil World game, which is it's an interesting Pac-Man type of game. So it's essentially a Pac-Man ripoff, more or less. And you as the character are a little, I think you're supposed to be a little angel, a little cherub running around. And the power-ups are Bibles, or some type of holy book. It doesn't say Bible, but it's a book with a cross on it, which I think, you know, you're supposed to imply that that's, if it's not the Bible, it's certainly a hallowed text of some kind. And then Satan is in the center. Is Satan in the center, or is Satan chasing you? No, I think Satan's chasing you around. And the thing that it does differently than Pac-Man is, for those, and I'm sure everybody at least knows how Pac-Man works if you've never actually played it, Pac-Man is a static maze. So it's just a maze. It's just sitting there, and you're the little, you know, yellow guy running around inside it and eating pellets and then, you know, chasing ghosts, Ghostbusters style. And so it's largely the same thing in Devil World, where you're running around and you're clearing. I don't think they're pellets. I don't remember what they are because I played it a long time ago. But, you know, you're whatever. You're clearing stuff out. But the thing is, and this is a really interesting mechanic that I wonder if they ever did a version of Pac-Man that did this. Because you would think, okay, if this game ripped off Pac-Man, then somebody probably saw this and then would make a Pac-Man that ripped this idea off. Is every so often, I think it happened constantly, but it was in different areas, the whole screen would shift. So if you were in the wrong spot, if you were moving and you went, let's say, all the way to the right, and you were in one of the tunnels or columns or, you know, corridors, whatever they were supposed to be, and the screen shifted and the wall got you, you died. So you basically got squeezed to death. You were crushed against the side of the screen. It's a really neat idea, because otherwise it is just a Pac-Man ripoff, except with, you know, religious elements. But the fact that the screen would shift would make that, you know, it was one more thing you had to kind of keep an eye on. Is, you know, it was like the trash compactor from Star Wars. Like, all right, watch out, it's going to kill you. And so it never got released because, again, way too many religious themes. If you know anything about the way Nintendo was, there was no chance this thing was ever going to come out in the West. But like I said, that makes sense because the whole game is based around that idea, right? So, okay, if the idea is we don't want to show anything religious because people will become offended, that game's complete omission from the United States makes complete sense in terms of what Nintendo was aiming for. Because you have to remember, when Nintendo came out, it was not, you know, Nintendo defined video games for years and years and years, but when it first came out, obviously they didn't know it would. They were just hoping the thing would sell. So this idea of making everything family friendly makes sense. That game's complete erasure from any Western knowledge makes sense because of what it is. There's no way to obscure what that, well, for them anyway, troublesome element was, which is you're not going to be able to take the religion out of it. But something like Bionic Commando, like I said, to leave in one of the more graphic death scenes in a Nintendo game, I mean, stunningly, it's still one of these things where when you see it, it's amazing to think that that was in a Nintendo game, and that they left that in and took everything else out is just bizarre. It's entertaining. I love the fact that it's like that. And the stuff with Castlevania and everything else, that's less of a big deal, I think. I mean, it doesn't impact gameplay. It doesn't really impact anything. In fact, most people probably didn't even know it until, obviously, the internet and people were able to do version comparisons and things like that. So there's all little elements, like the Castlevania thing is small and the Ghosts and Goblins thing is small. These are not big deals because they're very minor parts of the gameplay. And that's where, like I said, with Devil World, you can understand it because that is the central part. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Oh, I should not have run back here. This is a bad spot. Okay, I got lucky. Man, did I get lucky. Oh, man. Oh, Wilbur. But, so with... Oh, okay, that's not the power-up place. Sub? No sub. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, I think I'm far enough he won't show up. But yeah, when you're going to do something like Bionic Commando and not go the whole route, weird. Mortal Kombat also kind of seems pointless because at the point where your character is ripping the head off of another character, I'm not sure that the sand thing is really going to change the impact of that particular scene. I mean, maybe. And I think Raiden, or however you're supposed to say it. I think it's Raiden. I think the arcade actually says Raiden, so I think that's how it's supposed to be said. when Raiden electrocutes somebody and all that's left is a skeleton and dust, I don't think the point's been made. I don't think that obscuring blood tells people that, that guy's okay. This is a joke that my wife made when I was playing Mortal Kombat. Oh, the sub! There it is! 11. And there were points where you do these extraordinarily brutal moves on people that are basically specials. They're like X-ray moves or whatever they're called. And, the joke is, of course, that then they just get up. And it's, no. You're not going to get up after somebody shoots you 18 times in the eyeballs and your eyeballs come out. You're not going to get up. Like, that's it. You're finished. But no, then, the person can get up and still have half their life left and then win, which is ridiculous. And it's that level of absurdity. But of course, that's supposed to be absurd. That was not what Nintendo was doing when they were cutting elements out of these games. They were trying to alter the fundamental feel of the game, but they weren't really doing a very good job of it. So it is pretty hilarious when you dig into some of this stuff and think about the fact that they didn't. I don't know. I don't know if that's I don't know whose intelligence is lower in that. Nintendo's for thinking that those types of changes were the totality of what would offend people, that they really thought that it was just the crosses or something. You know what I mean? That's all it was? Or was it that they thought that people were stupid enough that they wouldn't notice the other kind of graphic elements? I don't know. I'm sure most of the people involved in these decisions are dead at this point or don't care enough to talk about them. But I'd be curious if anybody's actually discussed that stuff with Nintendo. And they may not comment either. Right? The way Nintendo is, I wouldn't be surprised if they just said, well, we're not commenting on that. That just seems like something they do. Nintendo doesn't seem to ever really have any desire to engage in anything that could even be remotely seen as critical somehow, even if it's really not. It's more of just kind of trivia. But that's whatever. That's Nintendo for you. So I'm actually kind of surprised. Oh, man. Because I'm trying to remember where in the NES's life this game fell. This is largely a bloodless game. But when you actually, now that I think about it, I wonder if because for those who haven't seen it, in Jaws 4, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling a movie that's now, 30 years old at least. That was at the end of was that in the 90s or the 80s? I think that was in the 80s. No, it was probably Jaws 4. I don't remember. Whatever Jaws was. Whatever Jaws 4, Jaws the Revenge, they ever call it Jaws 4. Jaws the Revenge, when that movie took place. The very end of the movie, sorry if you haven't seen it, but you basically already did see it because the end of this game is the end of that movie. When she drives the boat into the shark, in fact, if I remember the original cut, he's making this roaring lion sound and there's blood flying everywhere. It's gory as anything. But then in this game, now I got the sub. Yeah, not so tough now. Not so tough now because I got a sub. If I don't crash it into something. That's the stupidest thing is me saying that because that means I'm going to crash into... Oh, jeez. Okay. When the shark gets killed in this, if you saw the first part of the stream, you saw it go down. And the way it descends is very similar to how it goes down in the movie, except it's just there. There's no gore to it. You know what I mean? There's no blood in it. So I wonder if originally in this game they were going to have blood coming out of it, if it was going to have something. I would guess not. They probably knew by the point, because I don't think this was like a first run Nintendo game. This was after Nintendo had been out for a while, I'm pretty sure, at least a few years. So it was probably already common knowledge that you weren't going to be able to get away with that. I'm sure that there were probably notes being sent to everybody at a certain point saying, hey, if you're going to develop a game for this, there better be almost no blood in it, or it better be sand. So I got to be careful here. It'd be nice if all right, well, whatever. I guess we're going at him now. Come on. I mean, I'm not at my full power level, but I don't really care either. I should be able to get him with this because I've got the sub. The sub should make this possible because I can bomb him now. So this is not bad. See how much faster this thing fires? This is, and the fact that there's no mini sharks, which is surprising. I would have thought he would have brought them in as kind of, there they are. I was going to say, they should be coming in to eat the rounds up. Not that they're going to be able to do much against the sub, because the sub's great. And it's very, very easy to chop it. You see how fast his life's going down? The sub is the best, man. That's why when it doesn't appear for a while, it just makes everything seem like it's taking twice as long. It's not really. It's taking the exact same amount of time. But you can really just, unload on him with the bombs and I guess these are missiles or torpedoes. I'm not sure that a civilian mini-sub would have torpedoes, but we're not... Oh, boy. Woo! Yeah, nice try. But whatever, we let these things go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yep, you're going to see him. He's going down, man. He's going down. He's going down hard. Get out of the way. All right, here we go. And this will be the end of the stream. Perfect. 2 Jaws kills. This is what it typically is. Streams have been really 2 Jaws kills, except for 1. Now, let's see. Oh, is he going to come back? Oh, man. Oh, no, he's finished. Done. See that? No blood. No eyes. No blood. And that's it. That is it. Jaws defeated twice. In what? 40 minutes? Not even. No, maybe 40 minutes. Yeah, just short of 40 minutes. Just short of 45 minutes. No, a little over 45. Just short of an hour. Well, that's going to do it. 2 Jaws kills. That tends to be my stream ender, so I'm going to cut it off. How do I talk for this long? How does anybody talk for this long? I don't understand it. Why would anybody actually listen to it? Oh, inexplicable. Like so many things in the world these days. Well, there you have it. Jaws has gone down twice, and you get this wonderful, highly animated Nintendo ending, which just says the end, and doesn't even bother to animate the palm tree swaying. But whatever. Joe Plays Jaws. Another episode is in the can. I will play around with the drawing stream idea, see if that is feasible. And other than that, I hope everybody's having a nice week. And I don't know that I'm going to stream Jaws again this week. If I do, of course, I will send out the bat signal. Other than that, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you again when we see you. Good night.